packed house at Chiba District Court in Japan Thursday. People had gathered to catch the wrap-up of one of the country's highest-profile criminal cases in recent years.
In March 2007, Japan was shaken by a crime so brutal that it captured headlines around the world.
The sentencing of Tatsuya Ichihashi for the killing of a young British woman 4 years ago.
A young British woman named Lindsay Ann Hawker, who had come to Japan to teach English, suddenly went missing. She was bright, hopeful, and loved by her family and friends back home. When she did not show up for work, alarm bells rang. Her colleagues grew worried, and soon police began searching for her. Within days, investigators discovered her body in a chilling place, buried in a bathtub filled with sand, inside the apartment of a man named Tatsuya Ichihashi. The discovery sent waves of fear and anger across the nation. The idea that such a crime could happen in a quiet Tokyo neighborhood was beyond belief. People were shocked not only by the violence of the act, but also by the cold calculation it seemed to reveal. Lindsay had trusted her student, but that trust was betrayed in the worst way. For many, this case was not just about one tragedy. It became a story of danger, obsession, and the dark side of human behavior that no one saw coming. Who was Tatsuya? Tatsuya Ichihashi was not an ordinary man in the eyes of those who later learned his story. Born in 1979, he grew up in a well-educated family in Japan, with his parents working as professionals. On the surface, nothing seemed unusual. He was quiet, intelligent, and showed interest in literature and art. Yet beneath that calm appearance was a troubled personality. Those who knew him described him as distant, awkward, and often isolated. He struggled to connect with people, and his relationships were shallow. He was known to be obsessed with foreign women and had a history of following them, which created unease among those who noticed his behavior. Despite this, he managed to avoid serious attention from authorities. Before meeting Lindsay Ann Hawker, he was already living a lonely and unsettled life, spending much of his time drifting without clear goals. To outsiders, he looked like a shy man searching for direction, but in reality, he carried darker thoughts and desires. The case revealed that behind his quiet exterior was a man capable of extreme violence. Understanding who Tatsuya was helps explain how someone like him could commit such a disturbing crime that would haunt Japan and the victim's family for years to come. The victim's story: Lindsay Ann Hawker was a 22-year-old woman from England who dreamed of exploring the world. She moved to Japan full of excitement, ready to experience a new culture while working as an English teacher. Friends and family described her as warm, kind, and adventurous. She loved meeting people, and her cheerful personality quickly made her well-liked among students. Lindsay had big plans for her future. Teaching abroad was just the beginning of her journey. But her life took a tragic turn when she crossed paths with Tatsuya Ichihashi. He had approached her, insisting she help him improve his English. Out of kindness and professionalism, she agreed to meet him for a lesson. What seemed like a simple act of goodwill became the start of a nightmare. Lindsay never imagined that agreeing to help a student would put her in such danger. Her story is heartbreaking because it shows how trust can be used against someone innocent. She was far from home, yet remained brave and committed to her work. For many, Lindsay's story is not only about the crime itself, but about the loss of a young life filled with dreams, love, and hope that ended far too soon. A night of horror. On the night of March 25, 2007, events unfolded that would change everything forever. Lindsay Ann Hawker agreed to meet Tatsuya Ichihashi for what she believed was an English lesson. He led her back to his apartment in Ichikawa, a quiet suburb outside Tokyo. What began as a normal meeting quickly turned into a terrifying ordeal. Neighbors later reported hearing noises, but no one realized the danger taking place behind closed doors. Inside that apartment, Lindsay was overpowered and trapped. She tried to resist, but Ichihashi's control and violence left her with no chance to escape. The fear she must have felt in those final hours was unimaginable. By the next day, she was gone, her life stolen in a brutal act that shocked both Japan and the UK. Police searching for her followed small clues until they discovered the most chilling evidence: her body hidden in a bathtub filled with soil and sand, left in Ichihashi's apartment as if her life meant nothing. That discovery revealed the true horror of the night she vanished. It was not only a crime of violence, but also of cruelty, one that exposed the darkest side of human nature. Police on the hunt. When Lindsay Ann Hawker was reported missing, police acted quickly, knowing time was critical. They traced her steps and soon connected her disappearance to Tatsuya Ichihashi. Investigators arrived at his apartment, only to make a chilling discovery. Lindsay's body hidden in a bathtub filled with sand. But before they could arrest him, Ichihashi managed to slip past them and escape. This failure deeply embarrassed the police and shocked the public. How could a murder suspect vanish right under their watch? From that moment, a nationwide manhunt began. Posters with his face were placed in train stations, shops, and crowded streets. Media reports kept his name alive, urging citizens to stay alert. Despite the massive search, Ichihashi stayed ahead, using disguises and avoiding technology that could track him. For years, the police followed tips, but he always seemed one step further. The frustration grew, and Lindsay's family, who had traveled to Japan, begged for justice. The hunt for Ichihashi was no longer just about capturing a fugitive. It became a test of Japan's police system, a reminder of how a single mistake could allow a dangerous man to roam free. Years on the run after escaping from his apartment in 2007, Tatsuya Ichihashi began a life on the run that lasted more than 2.5 years. He cut his hair, changed his appearance, and moved through crowded cities, always staying hidden among strangers. Sometimes he slept outdoors or in internet cafes, blending in with the homeless to avoid being noticed. He worked low, paying jobs at construction sites, keeping his head down and avoiding eye contact. During this time, he constantly feared capture, yet he managed to survive by relying on cash and avoiding phones or bank accounts that could expose him. His face remained on wanted posters across Japan, and public sightings fueled tension, but he always slipped away. In desperation, he even attempted plastic surgery to change his appearance, but the results made him look stranger and drew suspicion. Despite his efforts, he could never fully escape the weight of the crime he had committed. For years, Lindsay's family lived in pain, waiting for justice, while Ichihashi lived like a shadow, consumed by fear and guilt. His life on the run showed how far a man would go to avoid facing the truth of his own actions. Capture and trial. In November 2009, after years of running, Tatsuya Ichihashi's time finally ran out. He was recognized at a ferry terminal in Osaka when staff noticed his altered face and unusual behavior. Police moved quickly, surrounding him before he could escape again. This time, there was no way out. His arrest made national and international headlines, bringing both relief and anger. Relief that he was finally caught, and anger that it had taken so long. During his trial, Ichihashi admitted to assaulting Lindsay Ann Hawker, but denied planning to kill her. He claimed her death was an accident, though the evidence told another story. The brutality of the crime and his attempt to hide her body painted a clear picture of guilt. The courtroom was filled with heavy emotions, especially from Lindsay's family, who had traveled from the UK seeking justice. After long hearings, the court sentenced Ichihashi to life in prison. The verdict brought some closure, but it could never undo the pain caused. The trial was not only about punishing one man, it was about sending a message that such cruelty would never be ignored or forgotten. Justice and impact. The sentencing of Tatsuya Ichihashi to life in prison marked the end of a long and painful fight for justice. For Lindsay Ann Hawker's family, it was a moment of closure, but not of healing. No punishment could bring back their daughter, whose life was cut short in such a cruel way. Her case deeply affected both Japan and the UK, sparking conversations about safety, trust, and the treatment of women living abroad. Many criticized the Japanese police for their early mistakes, arguing that Lindsay's killer could have been stopped sooner. Others saw the case as a lesson about how easily predators can hide behind polite appearances. The tragedy also inspired new discussions about how law enforcement must handle missing persons cases with greater urgency. For Lindsay's loved ones, her memory became a symbol of resilience and a call for justice, reminding the world that behind every headline is a real person with dreams and family. The impact of her story continues to echo, warning people about the dangers of misplaced trust, and standing as a reminder that justice, though delayed, must always be pursued.